Ladies and gentlemen, the director of Revenge of the Electric Car, Chris Payne.
Thank you. Well, last night I had a few words about disruptive technology, and what we're all doing in this room and what Senator Reid's doing and everybody who's speaking today is we're trying to disrupt a world that is not working very well in terms of our weather, in terms of where we get our energy. And to do that, we have to bring disruptive technology to the marketplace. And I made a film, Who Killed the Electric Car, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, about vested interests coming in and stopping disruptive technology because they don't want to stop, they don't want to lose that way of making money. What we're doing is we're showing that the world has to be reinvented by disruptive personalities, bringing big ideas to market and making big changes. So we made Revenge of the Electric Car about 4 very different personalities from across the spectrum of the auto industry and really of the kind of entrepreneurs in the world. And I'm very pleased today to be introducing one of them to address you for a brief keynote today. Elon Musk, as you know, is one of the most amazing disruptive personalities in the country. He took on banking with PayPal, making online banking a much easier possibility. He's taken on the space industry with SpaceX, and as you know, he successfully docked his Falcon 9 spaceship with the space station last year. He's taken on the solar industry by making a major investment as the principal shareholder of Solar City, putting solar rooftops on houses all over this country. And of course, he's the co-founder, CEO, and chief product architect of Tesla Motors. What makes a disruptive personality in my book is someone who's willing to take huge risks. Nissan took a huge risk, $6 billion into its electric car program. Bob Lutz took a huge risk. But Bob Lutz's risk on the Volt at General Motors came the inspiration of Elon Musk. Because you have someone like this guy, their disruption is a huge catalyst to the rest of the world. So every project you do, every project, clean energy project you're working on, is the kind of project that influences people around you to change. This is the kind of domino effect that our work has. So as a filmmaker, I was very pleased to be able to profile Elon, and one example of his risk-taking just with us as a film crew. He led us into Tesla Motors on some of their darkest days to film behind the scenes with them against the advice of almost every business person around. So with this, Elon's become a very good friend. I'm so happy for his success and for all the lives and minds he's changing around the world. Without further ado, Elon Musk.
All right, well, thank you for having me here. So I guess I was basically asked to speak for about 15 minutes or so. Hopefully you could hear me okay. It sounds a little odd from where I'm standing, but so I was just asked to talk about my views on sustainable energy, and maybe I'll start off with just saying maybe some obvious stuff about why I think it's important. And I think this is something that is really almost tautological. We must have sustainable energy, both production and consumption, or we will face massive economic collapse. So that is a problem we know we must solve, one way or another. The challenge we face right now is, this will occur no matter what. But the problem is that we have these low-cost stored hydrocarbons in the ground that have accumulated over hundreds of millions of years, perhaps in some cases over billions of years in the case of methane. So that's a problem because we're taking trillions of tons of carbon dioxide that was buried deep in the Earth's crust and putting it in the atmosphere. And then some of that migrates into the oceans and causes acidification. So we're essentially running this massive chemical experiment on the oceans and atmosphere. And the reason I think that's incredibly dumb is because we know we're going to run out of that stuff anyway and have to find an alternative. So why are we running this massive chemical experiment on our oceans and atmosphere when we know we have to find an alternative anyway? It's the stupidest thing I could possibly imagine. And I don't think that logic is as a function of somebody's party affiliation or ideology. It's just a function of rationality. It sort of feels a bit like we're like that. If you've seen those delayed gratification experiments with the kids got you can have 2 cupcakes if you wait 5 minutes, or you can have 1 cupcake if you eat it now. and that's actually quite a good predictor of the kid's future success. Okay. We're the kid who scarfs the cupcake in 3 seconds. We're like, but you could have had 2. Anyway, that's the sort of silly situation we find ourselves in. So I think what I've tried to do is to try to be helpful in accelerating the transition to sustainable energy. On the production side with solar power, I feel strongly that solar power will be the single largest source of sustainable energy in terms of power production that humans consume. It's actually worth noting that the Earth is almost entirely solar powered already. We would be a tiny frozen ice ball at about 3 or 4 degrees above absolute zero if it wasn't for the sun. The sun powers our entire system of precipitation. It's the basis for the whole ecosystem. As we learned in elementary school, the sun powers the plants and the plankton then the animals eat that, and we eat the animals and the plants. And so the ecosystem of Earth, the life forms of Earth, are almost entirely solar powered already. So we're really talking about taking a little portion of that energy, converting it to electricity for use in human economic activity. And that's what it amounts to. So, and what a lot of people perhaps don't realize is that if you took just a relatively small section of the United States, something, say, 100 miles by 100 miles, I mean, you could take sort of a corner of Utah or Nevada or something like that, and if you blanketed that with commercial grade efficiency solar panels on the order of 20% efficiency, you would actually generate all the power needed by the entire country. So, and this is simple math. You can go and do the back of the envelope math, and you'll see this is very easily correct. Given that it's obvious we need to go make a lot of solar panels and get them installed, it's also helpful in that you can put solar panels at point of use. So you can put them on the roof of a business or a home and directly power the home during the period when it needs the most electricity, which is typically during a summer when the air conditioning is running at full strength. So it tends to match quite well to energy usage. And then now long term, we need to pair that with energy storage in order to have 24-hour day power. So having low-cost batteries for grid storage is going to be important as well. And we were very happy to announce recently a deal between SolarCity and Walmart where we're going to do solar panels and batteries installations in 90 Walmarts around the country. So. And this is actually a pretty sensible economic decision because if they were to lose even 1 day of power, all the cold produce would rot, so they'd lose a ton of inventory, and they wouldn't be able to sell any goods that day. So even just being able to protect against power outages for occasional power outages for a day or two actually can pay for the entire system. It's really quite compelling. So there's going to be hopefully a lot more of that in the future, and I'm really quite optimistic. I don't want to suggest complacency in any way. I think we really need to make sure that we're providing as much. Maybe, people often say, well, what about subsidies for solar? And it's like, okay, look, how about if we just made the subsidies for oil and gas and solar the same? If that seems like a reasonable thing. You know, it's, and yeah, I mean, it's like, sort of like cigarettes or alcohol or something like that. I mean, you should at least tax stuff the same or subsidize it the same. Ideally, you should tax the things that are bad for you more than the things that are good for you. That sort of seems like it would be common sense. Hopefully that doesn't sound crazy. Although it is amazing how much opposition one gets to these things. And it's tough. I mean, one can't expect the oil and gas industry to you know, they have a huge amount of money, and it's tempting for them to spend a bunch of that on preserving and maximizing their, you know, profit and whatnot. But it's, I don't know, it's sort of vexing. And so that's on the power generation side, and so SolarCity is working as hard as possible to try to scale up solar power, make it more and more affordable, have the economics be sensible, but it sure is tough when you've got the ability to pull natural gas out of the ground at next to nothing. So it's a pretty hard bar to cross, but nonetheless we're going to give it our best shot there. And they're doing an awesome job at SolarCity. And then at Tesla, I think, you know, given that we have to make electricity production sustainable anyway, it seems to me to make sense that we should therefore focus, in terms of sustainable consumption of energy, on electric vehicles. And the trick with electric vehicles is we've got to make electric cars that are more compelling as products than gasoline cars. This is really critical for mass adoption of electric cars, because if you try to tell people, hey, buy this electric car, it's ugly, it's slow, it's got low range, and it just sucks, but buy it, you know, because you're doing the right thing. I mean, there's some number of people that will be cool with that, but most people are going to have a hard time. So what Tesla's really trying to do is to create an electric car that is better than any gasoline car. That even if you don't, leaving aside the fact that electricity is far cheaper than gasoline and it's good for the environment, if we can just make the car a better product than a gasoline car of approximately the same price, then you don't have to make the environmental argument, and you can get a much broader set of people that are willing to buy the car. So that's been our goal with Tesla, and I think with the Model S we've got a car that is I think we've achieved that with the Model S. Obviously the customers, the market will decide that question, but we've tried to create something that is, you know, when you look at the key elements of aesthetics, performance, fit and finish, functionality, you know, things like cargo capacity, range, the electronics and entertainment system, and then the way that all of that's been integrated into the product as a whole. I think we've been able to create something there which hopefully people will prefer to buy over a comparably priced premium sedan. And we've just started production, and the challenge that Tesla faces over the next several months, which is it's a very difficult one, is to scale up production and be able to achieve enough of sort of a gross margin on the product that we can get to a situation of being cash flow positive, which is extremely important. If we aren't able to do that, we will simply join the graveyard of all the other car company startups over the last 90 years. So it's definitely going to be a pretty tough period over the next 6 months, and you know, our execution, we can't afford to make a lot of mistakes, but if we don't make too many mistakes, then we'll get through that period, and then be able to bring out larger volume cars that are more affordable. Our third generation car is going to be a $30,000 car that will be produced at an order of magnitude greater volume. So we'll hopefully be making a couple 100,000 units, and we'll be able to achieve the cost savings because it'll be the third major design optimization and an order of magnitude greater volume, and the car will be a little lighter, probably 20-25% lighter than the Model S. So I feel pretty good we can get there as long as we get through the next sort of several months of trickiness. So that's what we're doing there, and then we're also providing powertrains to Mercedes and to Toyota in their cars. The electric RAV4, the new electric RAV4, where Tesla's providing electric powertrain that just went on the roads. So we're trying to provide our technology to other car companies to accelerate the advent of electric cars, and that seems to be well received. So, and then as Chris was saying, by showing that you can make an electric car, which is like we did with the Roadster, we showed you can make an electric car that's good-looking, fast, long range. That sort of spurs other car makers into making them as well. So we can kind of show that it's technologically possible, and that if you do it, people will buy the product. So I think even if, in the end, if Tesla doesn't make it, I hope we have nonetheless served that purpose. I don't want to sound dour, but it's definitely going to be a tough 6 months, and then we'll see where things stand. So I think that's I'm nearing the end of my time. So thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure being here.